I have what I believe will be breaking news for most of us. Oh yes. And it is the following. It is not true. It is not true that ODM is split right down the middle into two factions. That one is not true. And the reason why it is not true is that it is now very clear that there are three, not two, three visible factions within Baba's party, the party that Raila Amolo Odinga built with others from scratch. In 2005, after the referendum that failed to give us a new constitution. And now wait for the shocker. There is evidence that one of the factions is sponsored by State House. Now, this is very confusing because ODM is in the broad-based government, and therefore it is in the best interest of State House if ODM remains one united political party. A divided ODM would be useless to State House. Therefore, that doesn't make sense. Well, on the surface of things, it doesn't make sense. Because, my friends, Kenyan politics has been moving super fast. Over the last 2 weeks or so, Kenyan politics has been moving so fast that even experienced analysts are getting dizzy trying to work out what exactly is happening. But on my show today, I can guarantee you, you will come out with a very clear picture of what is happening. And by the way, this is not irrelevant to national politics. You remember in an earlier video, we said that it is a mistake to ignore what is happening within ODM. Why? Because all major politicians, very influential politicians, game changers, people who can move things, people who can mobilize, are in the ODM party. And today, I want to add something else to that. And it is the following. Not only that, major players outside ODM, major national Kenya politics actors outside ODM, have a great interest and have got a lot to lose or gain from what happens within ODM. And indeed, some of them are very busy interfering, influencing things within the Chungwa party. Now, if I've totally confused you, I'm not surprised. So let's take this thing step by step so that we totally understand what is going on here. Okay? Now, one of you shot me an email, I believe yesterday, telling me, Chris, you know, Oburu Odinga held a rally. And then now, Winnie Odinga has also had a very successful rally. Chris, please say something. Okay? Now, I promised this gentleman that I would say something. And therefore, I'm sure you're listening in. That which I promised to say, I am now saying here in this video. And actually, that is where we must start this story so that we totally understand. Oburu Odinga held a meeting at Kamkunji. And by the way, Kamkunji is within Kibera. Okay? And so let us be clear. Both meetings were within Kibera. Why is that important? Well, same crowd, same people, same audience, etc., etc. And therefore, a very good environment to test the political power on the ground, the popularity of the two different factions of ODM. Now, I've not forgotten that I've just told you there are three factions, not two. Okay? But now let us start with the two, which are very clear. The third one, I will tell you about very shortly. Oburu's meeting, Oburu's rally, when he stood up to speak, it was painful. very painful. Those around him looked very embarrassed and uncomfortable. The body language was very clear. Review the videos. The crowd was hardly responsive. Okay? Hardly responsive. Even when the Doluo language was introduced, there was no excitement. Bottom line, with all due respect to the elderly Oburu, that rally was dead. Dead. Maybe we can say dead on arrival. Allow me to leave it there. Winnie Odinga and her brother Raila Jr. had a youth rally also in Kibera. Fire see fire, norma see norma, to imitate somebody we all know. Folks, it was fire. Winnie Odinga wearing that kahat that Baba made famous, and with a t-shirt with Baba's image, brought tears to my eyes. No kidding. There was absolutely no doubt that Winnie Odinga is her father's daughter. In sharp contrast to the rally that her uncle had, the crowd was super responsive. And by the way, the crowd at Winnie's rally was huge, kubwa. Watu walikuwa wameshona. Okay? Now, this is politics. And politics is all about the kind of support you can garner. And many times, it is easy to gauge that from the kind of crowds you attract. And it is very clear, if we're talking about a contest here, between Oburu Odinga and his niece, Winnie Odinga. Actually, this was no contest, no competition. Winnie Odinga, the young small girl, wins hands down. Now, let's analyze what we got here politically. Number one, it is very clear that the Raila Odinga family is with the Sifuna Babu Owino camp of ODM. That is one strong group, and without doubt, the strongest faction within the split ODM. Let's move on. Oburu Odinga had an ODM delegates meeting in Western Kenya. Oops, actually correction. He had 2 meetings. Why 2 delegates conference meetings? How does that work out? What is going on? Well, the straight answer, there were 2 different factions of ODM that clearly emerged. Because one meeting took place in Kakamega town, and the Bwana Kubwa there was Ferdinand Barasa, the governor of Kakamega, and the other ODM delegates meeting took place in a place called Mabole in Butere constituency. Okay? And the Bwana Kubwa there was Wycliffe Oparanya. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Bwana Oparanya was expected at the Kakamega Delegates Conference, but he did not show. Instead, he showed up at a totally different delegates conference. Let's break that down. What this means is that Bwana Oparanya did what we used to call in the rugby game a dummy. He pretended that he was going to attend the Kakamega meeting. Kumbe, chini ya maji, he was organizing his own delegates for a parallel delegates conference in Mabole, Butere constituency. Now, it is not cheap to do something like that, okay? Because to mobilize delegates, you need money, and serious money. And so it is very easy to believe what people are saying on the ground, that actually the Mabole ODM Delegates Conference was sponsored by, wait for this one, State House. And I'm afraid it gets even more confusing. You see, the Kakamega governor, Ferdinand Barasa, is a very, very, very close friend, political ally, confidant of President William Samoei Ruto. Okay? And then, of course, Wycliffe Oparanya is in Ruto's cabinet. Hey, I hope you're not feeling dizzy already. Patience. We'll break it down and understand exactly what is happening here. Now, the big mystery here is that ODM are supposed to be in the broad-based government, which we know Ruto is relying heavily on for his 2027 presidential campaign. So, what is the motive behind him sponsoring a faction within ODM, helping to split ODM further? What's going on here? Well, can you allow me to give you the answer in the Luya language? Bindu vichenjanga. What has happened here is that the president and his allies have realized what most Kenyans had already realized weeks earlier, that this thing of using ODM to get votes from Luo Nyanza will not work. How do we know this? Have you heard Oscar Sudi speaking recently? What has he been saying? And in case you're visiting this channel for the first time, we've always said, when Oscar Sudi speaks, it is Ruto speaking. Bwana Sudi never opens his mouth to say anything without close consultations with the president. And so you can be sure, when he speaks, he's speaking the president's mind. Let's get that crystal clear. Now, here's something else very interesting. I'm telling you, Kenyan politics these days, the drama too. Now, this is the interesting thing. Recently, the president was addressing Murima people, I believe in Sagana Lodge. And you remember his remark, which caused a lot of controversy. What did he say? He said, I'm paraphrasing, siwezi kwenda kutafuta kura kwa wapumbavu na niwache kura zangu hapa Murema. Who was he referring to? Who are the wapumbavu? Most people believe he was referring to the Luo nation. Okay? But we have a confirmation, because Oscar Sudi, what did Oscar Sudi say? He said almost exactly the same thing. Yeah? Abusive language towards the Luo nation. I'm sure umeshikanisha. I'm sure you've joined the dots. And so let me ask you a very simple question. If you can no longer use ODM for your 2027 ambitions, will ODM still remain a threat if you just walk away and leave the party alone? The answer is a very obvious yes. So, if it was you, what would you do? And this is politics, it's not personal, okay? What would you do? You would make an effort to split ODM into as many different factions as possible, to divide and destroy the party completely until there is nothing left. Why? So that going forward, it will no longer be a threat to you. Does it all start to make sense? I hope so. Bottom line, the broad-based government, right from day one, has always been a mirage, even when Raila Odinga was alive. Okay? I'm not sure if all of you will agree with me, but I believe that is the accurate position. But in politics, as we all know, optics are super important. And therefore, for now, the broad-based government will remain in place until whatever is ready to replace it is ready. Okay? My view, my opinion. You're welcome to yours, as usual. But having said that, allow me also to add, anything can happen. Because this is politics. And currently the situation is very fluid. So anything can happen. I can eat my words tomorrow. Which words? That for now, the broad-based government will remain in place. I can eat my words tomorrow, as early as tomorrow. That is how fluid and unpredictable the political situation is. Now, let me finish by saying the faction that is by far the strongest amongst the different groupings that are still calling themselves ODM is the Winnie Odinga faction. Okay? Now, I know Winnie Odinga is very young. I know that rally was for the youth. But may I draw your attention to the real power, the real leadership behind the Winnie Odinga group? I'm sure most of you have already guessed. It is Raila Odinga's widow, Ida Odinga. And I have a feeling that behind the scenes, the battle, the war is very hot. So that when these politicians come out to speak to us, they've cooled down things, they pretend things are not that bad, okay? But the reality is that things are very bad, okay? Let me give you just one piece of evidence. I found it super fascinating that Oburu was introduced not as Oburu Odinga. He was introduced as Oburu Oginga. Oginga was Raila and Oburu's father's first name. He was called Oginga Odinga. Okay? And the implication there is that Oburu is the heir, is the one who took over the mantle, the power from the late Odinga, at least is the one who's holding that mantle now, because Raila Odinga is no more. And therefore, if you want to challenge Oburu, you need to challenge the memory of the founder of Luo politics, Oginga Odinga himself. That is the message in that small change of name. I'm telling you, politics, especially Nyanza politics, it is very spiritual. Allow me to leave it there. And another advantage Winnie's group has. You see, all the other groups are lacking something called a political schema, an experienced political schema. All the major political schemas within ODM are with the Winnie Odinga group. Oh yes. Political schemas, some of them are politicians and well known. Many of them are unknown. Okay? They play their game chini ya maji, and they give advice, and they strategize, and their strategy always works. And of course, their strategy, 90% of the time, is not a clean strategy. It is as dirty as politics is. And unfortunately, it is mostly very effective. Okay? I am very sorry to those of us who are naive and still think that politics is like your election in primary school for a class monitor. Hapana. Politics is very dirty. Filthy dirty. And when you start playing it, even if you're clean, you'll have to get mud on your clothes. You can't avoid it. That is the reality of politics. So there you have it. That is the ODM story currently. Actually, the national politics story currently. That is what is going to be driving our politics in the next few days, critical next few days and weeks. Okay? Now, very quickly before I go, I have some major news for you today. Okay? And I'm talking about those of us who are not holders of the golden key. Because holders of the golden key already have this information. Okay? Now, this is crazy. In the clip which shed new light into the Cyrus Njirongo Manenos, a clip that we greatly slowed down and we saw some crazy things, okay? That clip confirms that one of the main people who may have ordered things that led to the Njirongo hit was present at the crash site moments after Njirongo's Mercedes collided with the climax bus. Yeah. And for a very brief period of time, because this information is very sensitive, I am offering that particular video for the very low January price of only Kenya shillings 1,999. And the package also comes with my ebook on the same subject. You can see details on your screens right now. Please move with speed because, as I've said, this offer will be there very briefly. I don't think it will go beyond 48 hours. And so if you're in a position to, please move with a lot of speed to avoid disappointment. Until next time, this is Chris Kumekucha.